Pop culture is more than just entertainment. It's a lens into society, relationships, and human behavior. I'm Grace, and here on the Grace Report, we dive into stories beyond the headlines. Whether it's reality TV drama, celebrity scandals, or royal family intrigue, I'm here to break it all down. What it means, why it matters, and how it reflects the world we live in. Join the conversation, share your take, and let's make sense of the culture shaping our lives one story at a time. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, sunshine. How are you feeling today on this beautiful Wednesday? I don't know if it's the sun or what, but every single day this week feels like it is just flying by, and I'm so happy about it. I love this. Who's here? We've got Acacia. Hey, Acacia. Hey, Tadisha, Nikki, Kristen, Jessica, Christiane, Michelle, Venetia. Good morning to you all, and good morning to our friends who are silently watching as well, or to those of you who are going to be catching us as part of the playback posse. How y'all doing? We got Cynthia, Crystal, Ashley. Good morning. It is so nice to see y'all rolling in. We've got quite the morning report for you guys today. We're going to be talking about Kenya Moore. She's upset at Andy Cohen's comments about her and her Real Housewives of Atlanta stunt against her arch nemesis, Brittany. A little bit of RHOBH. I want to talk to you guys about the episode that aired yesterday, which is part 2 of the reunion. Sterling K. Brown, which is someone that we've never ever talked about on the morning report. So I thought, you know what? I thought the story about his was really sweet. Maybe some of you guys might be able to relate to it. So why don't we go ahead and share it? And then there's an actor who's coming out to say that he is willing to testify against Blake Lively if and when Justin Baldoni and his team turn to him. So his name is Adam Monchain, and he was the OBGYN in It Ends With Us that Blake Lively accused Justin Baldoni of hiring without any kind of qualification, then all of that. And then, of course, we got to talk about Ali Luber. Do you all remember Ali and James, the very sad news that we heard about him allegedly picking her up and slamming her to the ground at Kathy Hilton's, or just after Kathy Hilton's Christmas party? She is finally breaking her silence on that. And there's an awful lot to talk about. And there's actually something really exciting. I hope that you guys are going to be interested in this. This show called NextGen. Did y'all see the trailer? Bravo is coming out with this new show about all of these like housewives or Bravo celebrities' children. We've got Candy Burris' daughter, Riley. We've got Teresa Giudice's daughter. We've also got, who is it? Kit Wig's daughter. Where's Wig's daughter in this promo? I don't see her. Or maybe she shape-shifted. You know, these days it's really difficult to remember what people look like because they change so often, right? So maybe she was in that photo. I don't know, y'all, but we've got her as well. I see some more of you are checking in. Good morning, Ashley, Shay, Melissa, Crystal, Allie, Linda, and Shayna. So nice to see y'all. Why don't we start off with the Housewives of Beverly Hills? Did you guys watch the episode last night? Like, how checked out was Garcelle? And honestly, I don't blame her after the ambush from part 1. And Kyle Richards, of all people, calling her a mean girl. I think she was smart to kind of just like, sit there, be quiet, and avoid any more drama. And one thing about Kyle that's actually been really creeping me out this season, watching her in action, is that she is such a master of like, manipulation, deflection, all sorts of things. Like, it is fundamentally wrong the way that she has this like weird relationship with Dorit's estranged husband, and that she's been trying to play it down, play it off as like just like a memes and whatnot. And she has been caught in so many lies about it. However, each time she gets caught in a lie, what does she do? She tries to distract you with something else or to throw something else about what you've done in a completely unrelated situation. There's been no instance of Dorit trying to have any kind of like a relationship with Mauricio. And what do you mean that, you're keeping secrets from me about what my husband, what my man says about me, even though he moved out of the house, they're still married, what he says about me behind my back? Like, what kinds of conversation are you having? How good of friends are we if you feel comfortable doing this with my ex? It's weirdo behavior. And the fact that Kyle heard every single lady on the couch say the same thing, the fact that she acknowledges that it's wrong, and the fact that the Bravo universe has voted into the Watch What Happens live poll all saying the same thing, yet she doesn't seem to show any signs of wanting to stop her inappropriate relationship with PK. Very weird stuff. And then the Morgan. Oh, I was so damn happy when Andy called her out for the queer baiting that she was doing in her music video, or in Morgan's music video. So how is it that Morgan, as a grown-ass woman, signed the release forms and made the decision to appear in multiple scenes and episodes of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? She's been using you and the rumors surrounding y'all to promote her music, but all of a sudden we're supposed to pretend that she's a singer, right? So she's a very public person, and we're supposed to pretend that she's private. Stop it. Stop it. That is crazy. Do you hear how stupid that sounds? Oh my goodness, she was giving me a headache, and I'm really happy that Andy called her out. I'm happy that Bose called her out. I'm happy that Garcelle kept her foot on her neck as well. And speaking of Garcelle being checked out, I was sad that Sutton was rather checked out as well. Like Sutton, she was activated this season, right? We really saw her take it there with Dorit on several locations. She called her Pori. She did her confessional after the fact and said that she would never walk that back. She meant what she said. And now here she is showing up to the reunion like a dog with her tail between her legs, acting so timid and so scared. And listen, I don't even like Dorit, but I like the fact that Dorit called her out on her mess. Like, okay, what happened to, the whatever you call that, the talking head gangster, who had all of these things to say? Where are you? Come say it to my face right here, right now. And all Sutton can do was kind of sit there, like, no offense, looking rather pathetic in that moment. I felt bad for Garcelle because she was ambushed. But when it comes to Sutton, like, she's just so desperate to be liked that, like, and she knew she doesn't even like these people like that. So just like her behavior in general was super duper weird, and I was not feeling it at all. And I thought that they could have been a really good duo together, she and Garcelle, but she flopped hardcore and left Garcelle flailing. Now I'm seeing quite a few of you guys' comments come in about that NextGen show that Bravo released the trailer for yesterday. By the way, are y'all going to be watching it or anything like that? Something about it, to be honest with you, reminded me of the Real Girlfriends of Paris, where it's just like a bunch of random people like trying to figure out life in like a new city, right? Because a lot of these people are not from New York, right? Obviously, you've got Riley, you've got Ariana from Atlanta, you've got Brooks Marks from Salt Lake City, you've got, who is this? Is this Gia? You've got her from New Jersey. One of the ladies right there in the bottom right corner, she is from Dubai. All sorts of things. The only person that I think is actually straight up from New York is Dame Dash's daughter, right? And that's the daughter that he has with Becky with the good hair, Rachel Roy. And I laughed so hard when I saw that a Becky with the good hair joke was going to be coming up this season as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. Sheena says, Sutton is a confessional gangster. She disappointed me with her meek behavior after. I agree. So damn disappointing. It really, really is. I think she could have been a lot better than she was in part 2. But I really think that Kyle calling her and Garcelle mean girls got to them. And I hate that because they have so many examples of Kyle being a straight up mean girl. So to ignore all of that and like sit there and cower when the head mean girl says that about you, like that was a little bit like ridiculous in my opinion. But listen, these reunions, they're taped over the span of like 13, 14 hours. So maybe they were just exhausted and this happened a little bit later, but they're stitching it a little bit sooner for whatever reason, right? So I did see some of you guys' comments about the NextGen come in, and I want to see what y'all had to say about it, okay? So Shayna said, oh, well, first of all, Shayna's here for her second live, and I love that. This sounds like this is a good time zone for you, so I'm happy about that. Nice to see you again. Allie says they had a show, that premise called Rich Kids of Beverly Hills. Is that the one where they had no one of the ladies from Rich Kids of Beverly Hills? She's this Asian woman, and I forgot who her parents were, but like they're very known, not like celebrity known, but business-wise known. And then there was Magic Johnson's son on it, EJ, I believe. And then when that got canceled, she went on over to, what is that? No, Bling, something Bling, right, on Netflix. Is that it? Because yeah, I tried watching that, and it is true that those people were known before they even got on the show. But there's something so cool about like the actual Bravo people having their children that we've already seen on Bravo come and have their own show as well. And so I don't know that it's going to be this huge popular thing at all, but it's definitely something that has piqued my curiosity, and I hope that it's the same with you guys. And maybe we'll even talk about the debut episode or something like that and see how all of that goes. Nikki says, "Oh my God, I want to watch this. Makes sense why they kept highlighting Gia on Housewives of New Jersey lately." And I think you're right. Like she was practically a housewife or a friend of on Housewives of New Jersey. And it was kind of weird because those ladies are all so much older than her. So I think it's going to be so much better to see her have like a sort of dynamic with people her own age. And, going toe to toe with the Housewives in New Jersey. I think she's going to be the HBIC of this show, just because I imagine that made her extremely tough. Even like other seasoned housewives would probably have a hard time going toe to toe with the Jersey girls. A lot of times people say, oh, like this person thinks they're tough. Wait till they go to Atlanta. They would crumble. To me, I think of that as the Jersey girls, because the Jersey girls, especially like in the early days, they remind me of like the mob wives, like just like this kind of the undertones to some of the things and some of their dramas going on. Remember, there was that beautiful blonde girl, didn't like her brother or her ex-brother-in-law or something like that set her and her husband up, and then like they got whacked or something. Isn't Caroline Manzo's husband like part of this like weird mafia situation? Like there's a lot of these kinds of ties. And then Danielle's life is crazy. Like there's so many of these crazy things, right? And Gia, as like a youngin, has been going up head toe to toe with those. She's going to chew these people up and spit them out, I imagine, if they come for her. Sheena says, "I think I'm excited for the next gen. LOL. Kim's daughter Ariana is on the bottom. She's a brunette now. I had the same issue looking for her." Which one is she on the bottom? Because I saw her on the trailer, and did she change her hair from the trailer? Because I thought it was like a dark blonde already. Let me put up this picture again. Is she the one over there with like the half ponytail up, half down situation? Where's the picture? Hang on. Which one are you? Acacia, I think she really did shapeshift, because I do not recognize her in any of these photos. I don't know the first guy. I know the second girl is Ava Dash. I know then we've got Riley. We've got Brooks. Don't know this guy. Don't know this person right here on the bottom left. Don't know the one after. This one is the one that I'm imagining could potentially be Ariana, but it looks nothing like her at all, at all, at all. So I think maybe there's some shape shifting going on. Oh, look, they listed their names under. Okay, so let me go ahead and read this. On my back end here, they're very small, so I'm gonna have to lean in extra close, y'all. So Shay Fruchter, okay, don't know you. Ava Dash, Riley Burris, Brooks Marks, Charlie Zakur, still don't know. Georgia McCann, Hudson McLeroy. That is Ariana. I never in a million years would have looked at that girl over there in that black lace and said that is Ariana Bierman. Wow. That looks like a completely different person from the person I saw in the trailer and from this person that I had been seeing on The Real Housewives of Atlanta with her mom wig. Gia Giudice is here, of course. And then Amira Despain. So Amira is from Dubai, I think I had mentioned as well. Very, very interesting stuff. Listen, I'm going to be giving it a look. I like new things, and we a lot of us complain about how Housewives has gotten stale, this, that, or the other. So this seems like the opportunity for people who like the Housewives format to see it like with a different generation, So I do think that is going to be interesting, though I do understand what people like Ali say about them needing like a larger age range potentially. This seems like, even younger than us, right? Like this is Gen Z peeps. Shayna says, next to Gia, I think she got some face work. Wow. Yeah. Cause I had already seen them with some stuff done, but this was like completely different. Maybe it's just the photo. Cause there are some people where they look completely different in photos as well. I had a friend like that too, where like she looked like a completely different person in photos, and it wasn't good or bad. She was a pretty girl in person. She's a pretty girl in photos, but you would just never know that it was the same person that you're looking at in front of you. Like it's kind of wild. It really is. Yeah. So Tadisha says that she's going to be giving it a look because she likes RHOA. Ali is gonna pass. Oh, yes. Thank you, Ali and Malen. It was Dorothy. Yes, it was Dorothy. And then she went on to Bling Empire. Then, unfortunately, Bling Empire got canceled. And y'all already know that Christine Chu from Bling Empire, she has been approached to join the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So that could be rather interesting as well. I see you got some Riley fans in the building. Theo, how's your move going? It's nice to see you again. This is just popping in to say Kenya will always be queen, and the LGBTQIA plus community hit return to center on Kyle's hypocritical self. Have a good one. Ooh, period. He came in to drop his declaration, and I love it. Yeah, I don't like the cat and mouse that Kyle is doing. Like, I think it's obvious at this point that she's in some sort of a romantic or sexual relationship with Morgan, and it's okay. Girl, you live in Beverly Hills. Your family's accepting of it. The viewers of the show are accepting of it. Of course, there are always going to be bigots or whatever, but that's the minority of people who are watching Housewives, right? And you've already done this whole like queer bait music video. So why not just be honest? You know, the way that you were trying to drag Denise out of the closet, right? And like you blew up that relationship and stuff. Like, why don't you hold yourself to the same standard? Hey, April, nice to see you. Lynn does not know. She says, sorry to these people. I do not know you at all. Yup. And me too, April. Mob Wives was so damn good. I love that show. I actually want to kind of go back and rewatch it after I finish with my Vanderpump Rules rewatch. Good morning, Cammie. So nice to see you. I love that you popped on over here to join us first thing in the morning for you. Love that. Now, speaking of Kenya Moore, as Theo had mentioned earlier, y'all know how Andy Cohen took to his SiriusXM show to talk a little bit about her stunt at her Kenya Moore hair care opening and her subsequent firing. Well, take a look at the clip in case you didn't get to see it. And then on the flip side, we're going to show Kenya's response to all of it, okay?
What happened is that Britt made a comment at the end of last week's episode, like, I have a gun and a whip or something like that.
I saw that.
And on this week's episode, they all said to Britt that you can't say that shit. And she was like, yeah, you're right. You know, whatever. She shows up to Kenya's opening of her gorgeous salon, which is beautiful, that Kenya has worked so hard on, that she dedicated to her daughter. And it's this big event, opening it with all these people there. And Britt comes in and brings her flowers and says, I want to apologize to you, and a note. And Kenya totally ignores her, like totally. And Britt's like, okay, I'm just going to leave these here. And Britt leaves. And then Kenya gets up and makes her whole opening about someone came after me and they shouldn't have. And I started looking into who this woman is, and this is who she is. And she starts showing pictures of her.
With like poster board that she printed out.
And this is like
one of the pictures is
revenge
her.
Porn type.
Yes.
Okay.
One of the pictures is her like,
oral sexing.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
And the Atlanta Housewives are like, we're out. We don't want any. The place like clears out.
Yeah.
And then there's and Cynthia said, in all my time at the show, this is the lowest I've ever seen anything get. And
now, what is this glitter bracelet you have on underneath?
It's glitter tape. Ben put it on me. He covered me in
Sorry,
glitter
it's
tape
very eye-catching and beautiful.
I know, it actually is. It's glitter tape.
I like it. It's diamonds.
For Ben, yeah.
Wow, I'd like that.
I have glitter tape everywhere.
Oh, bring me some.
I
put it around my cock.
Oh my God. Anyway, so that's what, and then there's a slide at the end of the show that says, Bravo, stop filming with Kenya after this.
Well, they say like, there's all this talk of, after the Me Too movement, it's like if you show someone a dick pic or a nude pic without them saying, yes, I would like to see that right now, that's like sexual assault. You can't just go around being like, hey, someone did it to me the other day. I was at a workout class and they were like, hey, look at this guy from last night. And I was like, I didn't ask to see that right now.
Right. Yes, Jordan?
Well, I was going to say, the bad part of it and the sad part of it was that, like you said, it was Kenya's opening of her store that she's worked so hard for, and that it's been Kenya Moore hair care for years. Yes. And it was like a big moment for her.
Why
did
she do that?
She should have been celebrating herself, but instead she used the time to like do revenge porn and bring somebody else down. And at the end of the day, it was such a bad look for Kenya.
Yeah, why would she do that?
And she sabotaged herself and her business.
Yeah. What was she thinking?
Jody from Minneapolis, what did you think?
Yay, hi. Also, I'm just so proud of Bravo and how they handled it and all the housewives that left. after Kenya showed it. It was so trashy, and it was so negative and ugly. And I don't know, I think a few years ago, not all the wives would have left after that, but I'm really proud that they all left. And, you know, Britt making that comment about the guns and whips, I don't know, I didn't feel like it was totally like, I'm going to go kill you, Kenya. I think it was just her talking smack, and oh my gosh, Kenya just took it way too far. Yes. And on a side note, I saw Luann. She was in town here on Saturday night, and she was so fabulous. We had just the best time with her.
That's great.
So great. We saw Sonia.
Started rambling a little bit more, but did y'all kind of get the vibe that she was from Minnesota? So anyway, listen, they were not happy with Kenya's behavior. I do have a question to ask you. And they say that this was kind of like the darkest thing that they had seen make it to air on the show. Some people have been kind of debating that, right? So I recently saw on Reddit yesterday, they were showing some clips of the house husbands of New Jersey passing around Danielle's old X tape, right? So that seems to be kind of similar. And then the girls were mocking her like in a group, like to her face and stuff, and just being really nasty and vile towards her. Like that was also quite nasty. And we've seen a lot of other very ugly, things. We've seen Taylor talk about being beaten by her husband and whatnot. So I don't know, to be honest with you, but it was ugly. It was a terrible thing, but I don't know if it's the worst thing we've seen on Bravo. We've seen a lot of very terrible things, unfortunately, right? And so Kenya was not happy with this podcast episode at all. In fact, she chose to comment on a post about it, saying, and I quote, "The two co-hosts are extremely ignorant. Actual assault is grape. Remember, that's what Phaedra accused Kandi of attempting to do to Portia. Revenge porn? If someone showed Kim K's X tape to you, is that revenge porn?" And you know what? This is a question that I've had about the situation from the very beginning. I always understood revenge porn as being, you send someone like a nude or something like that, or a video, or, you guys choose to create that sort of material together. This clinger is right under my foot. And then in the event of a breakup or someone doing something to you that you don't like, you release that stuff, right? But it's stuff that was created with you together, and it wasn't created with the intention of sharing, right? However, from my understanding, the stuff that Kenya showed of Brittany were things that, remember, Brittany's been loud and proud about the fact that she was doing these kinds of photo shoots, right? These kind of scandalous photo shoots since she was in high school. Being a video girl, being in those kind of like hustler magazines and whatnot. So if Kenya were to share those things that she already did, is it revenge porn, or is it just trying to humiliate her and X-shame her? Luce says Bravo's trying to protect themselves by throwing Kenya away, but meanwhile downplaying Britt being aggressive. I get why, though, because aggression and even assault has been accepted, right? I think they're in a very, very tricky place, especially because, like you say, Luce, they have been accepting this sort of thing for quite a while. B says when they called Kandi a grapist, right? That was dark. That was ugly. And the way that Portia masterfully threw Phaedra under the bus when she's the one who said it on camera about a woman who gave her a job and some money when she got thrown out of her husband's house is crazy, right? That was supposed to be your friend. And you sat on this supposed information that you were worried about for a storyline when you guys were confronting each other over like other things and whatnot. Like, that was weird. And then she said, no, I had no idea. It was Phaedra. Girl, that was supposed to be your friend. You were 40 years old. Stop it. Kelly says Kenya is getting a lot of support too, though. And I agree. She has been. I won't be surprised if Bravo decides to bring her back. And I wouldn't be surprised either. This could be kind of interesting if Bravo says, listen, we didn't react accordingly the way we should have to the Brit situation. It shouldn't have escalated to the situation. What Kenya did was wrong. But, we must move forward. We've addressed this with her, and, we're willing to move forward. Right. Because I don't think, not every Bravo firing is definitive. Right. They have walked it back. Remember when they fired half the cast of Vanderpump Rules, then put them on a new show called whatever you call that, The Valley, which, by the way, is starting up soon. Listen, I don't even know why I'm rewatching Vanderpump Rules when I should be catching up on The Valley so I could be prepped for season 2. Melen says Kyle Richards showing Camille Grammer corn pictures to other housewives. Andy is so biased, right? That's one thing about him. He is extremely, extremely biased. Extremely. And you often see that with the cast of, shows like RHOA, RHOP. Milan says, Brit Edie video is online. I heard that she signed a release for the court. So there it is. If you put this stuff out there, you post for this stuff, you film this stuff, somebody shows it to humiliate you, I don't consider that to be revenge porn. I consider that to be ex-shaming personally. Milan says, Brit Edie's video, and Brit, oh yeah, so I just read that, sorry. Acacia says, I agree. What Portia said was way worse than what happened with Kenya, right? Both terrible, terrible, terrible things. However, the picking and the choosing is kind of weird. Hey, East Awesome, nice to see you. We've missed you. Bravo's getting backlash and Kenya will return if she stops her social media posts on Andy. Right. And I think that she needs to chill out for the time being and let her fans and just the fandom speak on her behalf, because, I don't want her to get into Nene territory where she's blackballed, right? Or blacklisted. So let me pick back up on her statement. Revenge corn. If someone showed Kim's tape to you, is that revenge corn? I found that plus tons of others online. She signed a release for it, so it's a fair receipt. Warning, if you are not an attorney and familiar with Georgia law, then shut the F up. Sick of the bias and selective outrage. These comments should not have aired. It's a podcast. Where is legal? You don't want activated Kenya. I shouldn't have shown at my event, but for the love of God, why would they ignore a clear gun threat? And I agree with her. There she is, y'all. She's low-key threatening to sue Andy, And here's the thing. When they say that she participated in revenge porn, that is a crime. They're accusing her of committing a crime, and it's not even what she did. So I understand why she's pissed off, and I think she has every right to say that. And I hope that this is handled behind the scenes, because now I think, she's got something on Andy, right? Because, is that slander? I think that would be considered slander, what has been said on that show. And then what happened, the way Brittany threatened her, not being handled appropriately, right? I think she's got a lot, if she were to file a lawsuit and whatnot. I think she's got a lot of grounds for that. So I hope that there's some sort of leverage happening behind the scenes so that she can get back onto the show. Lou says, Kenya S harassed the people at the event. See, I think that that's what it could be called too. Revenge porn or not, she is a liability, and her excuses just show that she thinks she can do no wrong, and so do her fans. And listen, I do think that that's a fair conclusion to come to as well. Kelly says Kenya doesn't think she did anything wrong, though, and that's a problem. I feel like the people defending her are saying, yes, Kenya, you did something wrong. However, wrong was done to you, and that should have been handled before you even got the chance to escalate to the situation, right? Britt should have not even been able to film after that, meaning that you wouldn't have even been able to talk about Britt. Kelly says Kenya doesn't. Oh, I don't know what's wrong with me today, guys. I'm feeling like Jacob Tutu or something like that. Like, why do I keep, rereading things? April says Bravo allows so much, but then makes example of a few. There's no rhyme or reason with Bravo. And that's the thing. I think that their HR department needs to come up with something that they can uphold consistently, because it's just not cool. It really isn't, right? And I think it can get them into a lot of legal trouble, right? No, Portia put it on the show. She knew all of that was fake, and she turned it into this weird, jokey storyline. And it wasn't until she caught heat for the rumors that she put onto the show that she went and threw her bestie Phaedra under the bus. Her fans got her together, right? Got her all the way together. And if it was illegal, Britt would have sued her. That's the thing. That's the thing. I think the people who could sue Kenya are the people who were exposed to that against their wishes. But Britt, she chose to go down that path in life, right? To create those kinds of photos, videos, content. So I don't think she has too much grounds to sue for here. But listen, I'm not a legal expert. Why don't we get on to a more positive note, right? This story about Sterling K. Brown. Do y'all remember him, Randall, from This Is Us? And I'm sure he's done a lot more. I actually recently saw him in something, but I couldn't even tell you what it was. But I really like this guy. He seems like a really nice, warm, wholesome, genuine person. So he was on the Kelly Clarkson show, and he's talking about his name, Sterling K. Brown. I've always wondered what the K stood for, right? And so according to Sterling, he used to go by his middle name, and the K in Sterling K. Brown stands for Kelby, which I wasn't expecting at all, actually. My first guess was Kevin. When I think of K names for men, I'm thinking Kevin, Kyle. That's it, right? So to hear Kelby, I was like, all right, Kelby, sure. My dad's, and the rest of his quote was, my dad's Sterling Brown Jr., my grandfather, Sterling Brown Sr., I'm Sterling Kelby Brown. I wanted my own name, and it felt like Sterling was like an old man's name. But because he passed away, when I was 10. By the time I turned 16, I hadn't heard his name for 5.5 years. And I was kind of like just wanting to hear that name again. So I asked people to call me Sterling. So this is kind of like homage to his father, who passed away when he was much younger. And I think that that's a really beautiful thing, right? What do y'all think about that? I thought that story really was rather touching. East Awesome says, Sterling K. Brown and Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul was hilarious. Is that a Netflix thing? Where is that? I really like this guy. So I would be really happy to be able to see that. I'm trying to remember what I saw him in outside of This Is Us. Like, I can't remember, but I really, really do like him. So kudos to him. You guys, why don't we get into our next one? Oh, the Blake Lively story. Brace yourselves for this one. It ends with us, aka it never ends. A new person has stepped into the chat to talk about this entire situation, and it is none other than the actor who played the OBGYN in that scene. Remember how in her lawsuit, Blake Lively claimed that Justin Baldoni hired some random to play the OBGYN who had his kind of like face in her crotch when she was delivering the baby. This is the picture, by the way. So listen, if that's the case, and I'm very uncomfortable for Blake, because even just this photo, like to me, is like, oh my God, God bless you, Blake. Like a random man, actor or not, like in this position, right? Like that's a lot. And she said that she wasn't even like wearing shorts, like they put her in panties or something. Listen, we're going to get into the details. But when I heard about all of this in her lawsuit, I was horrified for her. I understood why she was so pissed off about this ordeal, right? So, by the way, this actor's name is Adam Monshine, and he is really pissed off about the statements that Blake has made. So he did an interview with Page Six in which he said, and I quote, "I am not going to speculate as to Ms. Lively's motivations for mentioning me in the complaint. Needless to say, my experience working with her is very different than the one she described in her lawsuit. I was very surprised to hear her description of the scene." So spoiler alert, she and Ryan have a baby. Okay. And so in her lawsuit, Blake claimed that Justin introduced his quote best friend to play the role of the OBGYN, which would have ordinarily been a small role that had to be filled by a local actor. Quote, Ms. Lively felt that the selection of Mr. Baldoni's friend for this intimate role, in which the actor's face and hands were in close proximity to her nearly nude genitalia for a birth scene, was invasive and humiliating, right? And so let's go over some of his rebuttals to Blake Lively's claims about his involvement in the scene, shall we? So his qualifications, right? Blake said that this is not an actor. This is just somebody that is friends with Justin, who Justin had filled the role. And so he says, oh, listen, Ms. Lively's insinuations regarding my qualifications are offensive, as my bona fides are easily searchable online. So when you search him up on IMDb, you see that he's got at least 10 acting credits to his name, including his acting credit on It Ends With Us, of course, right? He also has a master's in fine arts from UCLA, and he has toured with the UCLA acting company, right? And this is a very legitimate company that has won Tony Awards as well. And so she said that the role should have been filled by a local hire. And he says, and I quote, "I was in fact a local hire. My wife and I are from New York and spend significant time there. As such, I, like any actor accepting that contract, was required to cover my own travel and living expenses in connection with the job." So to me, it's like, okay, you're from New York, but it doesn't feel like you are local to New York anymore, because you're kind of talking about having to cover your, logement, your room and board and whatnot for being in New York for the role. That's just the vibe I got, right? So there's one thing I want to say. And so Blake also said that when they were filming this scene, which again, it looks very, very uncomfortable, right? Especially if she were nearly nude, as she suggested in her lawsuit. But he's saying that that is not the case. Quote, "Ms. Lively was not nearly nude in the scene we shot together. Her costume included a full hospital gown, black shorts, and torso covering prosthetic to make her appear pregnant, in addition to whatever personal garments she chose." So apparently she had the hospital robe, she had a prosthetic covering her belly, and she had shorts that were covering her nether regions. And then she was also able to choose to wear something else if if she wanted to. So it seems like he is blowing those claims straight out of the water. And he's saying as well that he is willing to testify. Quote, if I'm called to testify in the case, I will answer truthfully and more freely whatever is asked of me with all the legal protections that affords. And he's, doubling down and saying that he doesn't even understand why he was mentioned in the lawsuit in the first place. And I quote, I'm not going to speculate on her motivations for mentioning me in the complaint. Yeah, you guys, there you go. He says that, well, also while she was on set, she never complained or expressed discomfort at any point because nothing unusual or improper occurred. It was entirely professional. Whew. That's rough, you guys. I get why he's coming out, swinging, because in this lawsuit, it was portrayed as though this is like, the Justin and his friends are creeps, right? So like the co-founder of his production studio allegedly is a creep who would, like Justin allegedly, roll up on her to have meetings anytime she was breastfeeding, right? Things like that. And then she also said now he's got this other creepy friend who's not even an actor, who he just randomly said, hey, do you want to see up Blake Snatch? Because here's your chance. I can give you a bogus role. We can pretend you're an actor and you can do this for, I'm doing you a solid sort of a deal, right? So I understand why he's now coming out and saying, I need to clear my name. I've got a wife. I've got a family. I'm not this kind of guy. I'm an actor. I have a fine arts degree, not even just a fine arts degree. I have a master's in fine arts. I've been touring with a Tony Award winning company. I've been in several other projects. You can check me out on IMDb. So kudos to him for coming out and speaking out. And, and I understand his willingness to testify. But right now, again, it's not looking good for Blake, right? Because again, there was that scene that with a slow dancing scene or whatever with Justin Baldoni that she portrayed one way. And then when the audio and the actual full video leaked, it was shown a completely different way, right? It told a completely different story. So I don't know. I'm starting to wonder what's happening, because these are not stories that involve Justin Baldoni exclusively, right? These are stories that could ruin the reputation of his co-founder. These are reputations that can ruin the reputation of this man, right? Just a regular actor trying to do his damn job. He's not some creep who just wants to look up ladies' coochies or whatever. What do y'all think? Is she lying? Because when he says, oh, she never expressed any discomfort or whatever, to me, it's like, listen, sometimes we as women, we don't speak up when we feel uncomfortable. That doesn't mean that we didn't feel uncomfortable, right? However, the other stuff is looking a little bit suspect to me. And I'm disappointed in that. I have to be honest. Allie says, Blake be lying lively. Listen, she is giving, looks like she might be giving Mia be lying a little bit of a run for her money, literally, because this is a $400 million lawsuit, and you've got someone. And when this guy was talking about, oh, I really want to testify, you know what it reminded me of? In the Johnny Depp v. Amber Heard lawsuit. Do y'all remember the guy from TMZ who kind of almost essentially won the case, was a slam dunk for Johnny at the end when he was like, listen, Amber called the paparazzi on herself. It's this, it's that. This feels like this could be a major smoking gun as well. Smoking gun witness. Hey, Shem, nice to see you, boo. And they didn't give her enough stuff for modesty, right? So maybe that's the thing too, right? She said that she was only in panties. However, he said that she was in shorts. So I don't know. Oh, is he, Minnie? Thank you. I'm going to check that out. Right? Elsie says this movie sucked. And that's the crazy part. People who watched it most of them have said the same thing. It wasn't even worth it. It was not a good movie. So the amount of drama that has been wrapped up in a subpar movie is honestly just so embarrassing for all the parties involved. Is it not? Right? Elsie is mincing no words in her opinion. Good morning, Melissa. So nice to see you. East Awesome says, isn't Blake doing all of this to secure the rights? Well, that was the rumor, right? To the book series. Blake needs the book's rights to continue making these films. She's trying to have her own film franchise. We see Blake's intent. And that has been the story for a very long time. And if that's the case, it's really unfortunate that that is the way that she chose to go about things, right? Because I think with her name recognition and, just her husband and everything, I think she very well could have gotten the rights to other books, right, by other authors and done like this, or maybe even better. I don't know, right? So now to allegedly choose to misrepresent your experience with somebody, ruin their name and their reputation and everything just for the rights to a book, like, and the way that this has tanked her own reputation, like, she has lost she's lost millions upon millions of followers. She has lost millions of dollars in brand deals and in business, right? Because she's got these brands. She's got like her Betty Boos. Then she's got like the hair care thing. And she says that she has suffered millions upon millions, all of that. So if this was not authentic, that would be just such a shame to do that to somebody. And now look at what it's done to you, right? Milan says she is sick of the Blake and Justin saga. They're about showing their true colors, and they both give me the ick. And listen, I hear you on that too. It has been going on forever, it feels like. Hey, average Canadian mom, we're matching in orange. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining. Shout out to Canada, my people. Pierre says, I'm so happy that this is backfiring. Blake and Ryan are snakes. It makes you wonder how many other people they've done this to and they couldn't afford to fight them in court. You know, and that is a good question, right? A really, really good question. And it's kind of scary to think about how many times this happens to people. Sad. LC also says, I think Blake has always come from a place of privilege, wealthy, etc. So she's out of touch. And this is something that it seems like with a lot of her situations as well, you know, and not just this ends with us drama, but in general, some of the comments she's made in the past and like weird things, you know, in general. Right, Snatch? Is that out of date? Is that not a cool term anymore, y'all? April says Blake just threw things around to see what sticks. This is a weird, easy proof. And that is the scary part, April, right? Like, how much of this lawsuit is bogus? And I would hate that, right? Because still women who get harassed in the workplace or in general, right? We still to this day have a very difficult time being taken seriously. So the idea that this, you know, this A-list actress would contribute to that problem, that's a really difficult thing to accept, right? So for me, for now, I'm still gonna wait to see how things play out. Right? Because sometimes that's one thing about the media, right? Lucy, I'm in a similar boat where when I first heard her lawsuit, I was all Team Blake. I was like, damn, what happened, right? But sometimes in the media, they can really distort things. And then later when the dust settles and you go back and you look at things without them trying to like hound a viewpoint down your throat, you see how manipulated you were, right? So I'm still going to try and hold out hope that she's telling the truth, because the idea that she could do this to somebody, right? Somebody who seems to be as nice as Justin seems to be is crazy, really crazy. Hey, Joy, nice to see you, boo. Welcome, welcome, welcome. FH, oh, you're on the Kenya story. She says it's revenge P. She did it to be vengeful and humiliate a co-worker. I have zero sympathy for Kenya. Listen, it was very, very ugly behavior. Anyway, you slice it. The TMZ guy was so cocky. You would think that this guy was going to be paid, you know, at the end of it, like just with the attitude that he came up with. Oh, Lord. Hey, Carly, Grace, have you talked about? No, I haven't talked about it. I haven't seen it. You know, I have not seen Nathan in such a long time, Carly. I'll have to go ahead and take a look, because that guy, I'm actually really surprised that he's still around with just how off the wall he has been. You know, I hope he's doing well, but it sounds like you're saying he's still being weird. So I'm scared going into it. Acacia says, I'm beginning to think something did happen between Blake and Justin, right? It's kind of low-key giving maybe affair gone wrong, potentially, but something in the buttermilk ain't clean, as Phaedra likes to say. Shem Jim says, random comment, but didn't Bradley Cooper say he was too old for Jennifer Lawrence? That could be her father, but now he's dating Gigi Hadid. Ooh, T. That's the thing with these guys. You know, they start out a little bit reasonable, but once they get to a certain age, they just go F it. And then they just do whatever, which is rather sad and creepy. I don't understand why Gigi Hadid is with him. Here's the thing. I understand why these young girls trying to come up don't have, you know, much money, influence, do it, right? This is an easy way to climb up the ladder, but Gigi Hadid already has it all. So why would she do that? It's weird to me. Guys, give me a second. We got a word from some of our sponsors. I'm going to take a sip of my water. And when we come back, we are going to discuss Ali Luber breaking her silence on the altercation between she and her ex-boyfriend, James Kennedy, that led to him being arrested and their ultimate breakup, okay? If you're enjoying today's episode of The Morning Report, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up so that YouTube knows you enjoy my content, and I'll catch you in a quick
The
second.
Morning Report is brought to you by Philo. Watch your favorite shows and movies from over 70 different channels, including MTV, TLC, WeTV, and more for only $28 a month. Get a free trial today by clicking the link in the description box of this video to get your free trial up and running. Are you looking for the perfect skincare products for women over 30? Look no further than RHOA. RHOA is a skincare brand born from love and made for parents. Their flagship product, the Resilience Cream, delivers clinically proven age prevention benefits such as average 14% wrinkle reduction after 4 weeks of use. Click the link below and receive 30% off your first purchase today.
We're already on to our final story of the day, and it is about none other than Ali Luber and James Kennedy. That situation was really, really sad and hard to hear about, especially over the holidays, just spending your holidays in that sort of a state. Like I was heartbroken for Ali, but it seems as though she is a phoenix rising from the ashes, and she's ready to rebuild. And in doing that, she's speaking out, and she's launching her own podcast about astrology, right? So did you guys get to listen to her on the Nick Viall podcast? When I looked online about if other people were listening or not, a lot of people hate Nick Viall. And I kind of want the gossip on it. Can y'all help me know why people do not like Nick Viall? Because apparently he was a douche or something like that, right? On The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. But I feel like there's a lot of people on those shows who are not great, but they're not as hated as he is. So if anybody has any kind of intel, please do let me know. I am kind of curious about all of that. So I used to love The Bachelor, then I stopped watching it. So I never really got to see his season. You know what era of The Bachelor I used to watch? Like Emily Maynard. And then the guy with the race car, the guy, the race car driver. Then Vienna, she was nuttier than squirrel shit. Like that, those seasons are the ones that I watched. I remember Jillian as well. So I was never into it when Nick Viall came around. And I like was it Ty Pennington? Or is that the guy from Extreme Makeover? But Ty, the single father, that stuff. Those are the seasons that I used to watch. Julissa says, what do you mean? Why is Gigi with a Bradley? He's way too old for her. What is he, twice her age or something like that? Cute is debatable because I kind of think he looks like a rat. And that's rude. I shouldn't have said that. But to me, he kind of looks like rat-like, and he has his own kids, so he understands. So I do understand that part. Definitely, I understand that part. So now, Ali says Nick is Team Blake to the up-ass degree. Oh, is he? So I'm curious. See, I want to see why he feels that way, right? Because I'm like, what is he getting that I'm missing? Because right now, I'm leaning more towards Justin being truthful here, but I'm still trying to remain neutral nonetheless. Kristen says Nick gives douchebag vibes for sure. I didn't watch The Bachelor, but I have seen his channel. And isn't he another one of those guys in their mid 40s with 20-year-olds or something like that? Didn't he get with his wife and she was 20 something and he's 44, 45? I find that weird and icky. Didn't his wife cheat on him when they were engaged? Listen, I actually meant to go down the rabbit hole on that. I had heard stories about all of her friends, everybody who got involved with her wedding, dropping her because of this alleged affair. But that's about it, and if she did have an affair on him, then that's on her and not a fault of his. Jalisa says, I saw the ad for it, but I couldn't find the interview. I also dislike Nick. He's so damn corny and performative. Damn, Nick, they really do not like you. He went hard on Justin B. Ooh, I'm going to have to go and dig into those podcast episodes. Thank you, Ali. So I do list, he has a lot of really good interviews on his podcast. So that's why, I keep it in rotation. The only thing is, I feel sometimes he eats the mic. When he's doing his podcast, he's he doesn't open his mouth and it's too close to the mic. Shem says, because Viall suck. Damn, they don't even ask questions that make sense. There are always some exactly, or agreeing with guests. It's just, what I think that is? I think that it's kind of a PR outlet, right? I think that they can't challenge these people or call them out because then they won't get interviews. Because the thing about these celebrities and whatnot is that they want people to blow smoke up their behinds. Even in the Ali interview, which we will get to, there were some important questions that I would have liked for them to hold her to. However, they didn't, and she got to skate by on them. And I didn't love that, to be honest with you. Milan says, you should be listening to the snark bait about Nick Viall. They did a wonderful job. Listen, I'm going to be like a little boomer. Let me pull out my phone and take a picture of this, okay? So I can go back and tune into this. Thank you so much. I'm going to be tuning in because I want to know. I'm sorry, Julissa. I know that's your man, but like every time I see him, I'm like, what? Like, what in the gaslighting? I'm supposed to believe this man's attractive? Okay. Bradley and Gigi each have one kid on their own, to my knowledge. Yes, they indeed do. What does he have? He has a daughter too, right? And I know she has a daughter, Kai. And he outed Kendall from Love Island. Oh, really? Damn. Okay. Okay, T. I had no idea. That's so sad that she got outed. Damn. So you guys, when Allie was on the Viall file, she talked a little bit about how things went down with James on that fateful night. So she was invited to read Kathy's Hilton's astrological chart. And so it took her about 2 hours. And she says that when she finished working, she came out to the party where James was with her friend. And she felt like his demeanor changed. And so she immediately asked him if he had been drinking, and he denied it. And she says anytime she would accuse him of drinking, he would accuse her of drinking. He'd be like, no, I'm not drinking. You're drunk. Like they gaslighting. And that's actually really spooky and like just creepy, weird behavior, right? So she says that there was a lot of tension. Her friend Jack was with them as well. And so it was just a lot of like fighting between the three of them and yelling and whatnot. And then she says that they had called for an Uber because she no longer wanted to be there. And I guess she was embarrassed by all of the fighting outside of the house, of course, right? And she doesn't know who called the cops, but the cops showed up. They assessed the situation. And then she also says that she was not hurt physically. Emotionally, yes, but that's kind of how that played out. So here's the thing. Nick Viall and his co-host, they say, okay, wait a minute. In the police report, they say that James Kennedy picked up a woman and slammed her to the ground, and that is what she told to the police officers. Did that happen to you? Did James Kennedy pick you up and throw you to the ground? What does Allie say? Evasive language. She avoids the question. She says, I wasn't hurt. Allie, girl, that was not the question. The question was, were you picked up? Whether or not you were hurt when you were picked up and slammed to the ground is a different story. But the fact that she couldn't answer that question head on, to me, tells me that she's hiding something. And it's similar to her statement, right? She did an Instagram story announcement about asking for privacy over the ordeal. And so she never denied that he got physical with him in that thing either. All she said was that she was not hurt. So to me, just based off of her omission there, I think that James did it. And listen, a lot of James's other girlfriends or ex-girlfriends have accused him of being a violent person. So that combined with her evasiveness of a very simple question leads me to believe that he's guilty of that. And, you know, I find that to be very sad. Very, very sad. This guy very obviously has like demons that he needs to fight and whatnot, right? And I hate that. I hate that instead of fighting these demons, he's too busy trying to find a new girlfriend every 2 minutes. That's the thing about him and Jax. When you watch Vanderpump Rules, especially when you go back and binge watch, they cannot live without women, yet they treat women like they hate them. And it's just, oof. Julie says, that's not my man. Look at the screen. That's not your man. And I just don't think he's ugly. Oh, fair enough. Listen, that was kind of harsh, but I don't get the hype. I don't. And Allie also said that she had asked for James to be breathalyzed when the police came so that she could have proof that he was drunk. And so they said, listen, we can't do that. This is not drinking and driving, boo. We don't do that. This is not a party trick. And so, however, they did tell her this man is drunk, girl. And so she at least needed that to know that she was living in reality. And I hate that. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been in that situation. Like, it doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship, right? It could be a friendship relationship. It could be a familial relationship where someone is just like lying to you, gaslighting you. And you're just like, oh my God, I really need for somebody to like validate that I'm not seeing things. I'm not hearing things. I'm not crazy. And so I'm happy that she at least got that sort of confirmation or closure from the police officers, because she was not going to get it from James. And she also said that she believed that James had been off the wagon for quite a while, because remember, he's a DJ. He goes, to different cities and, abroad at times to spin on the ones and twos. And so that lifestyle is mired in drugs and alcohol. And so she said she would be kind of like a fool to believe that he was sticking to his sobriety, especially when he was showing signs of falling off the wagon. Milan says, I think James paid her to stay silent. Maybe. Or maybe she's still scared of him or something. I don't know. But I wouldn't put it past him, right? I really wouldn't. And I gotta be honest with you, Malen, and this is like not to say that I don't believe her, because I believe her 100%, but to be honest with you, and this is something that everybody has always said, or most people have said since seeing, her debut on the show, it's always seemed to me that she's kind of opportunistic in her relationship with James. It's always seemed to me like she just wanted publicity to be on TV, or, to get to sing and stuff like that, or now her astrology, right? So she's coming out and sharing this story, which I think is a beautiful thing to do, but she's sharing it as, she launches her astrology podcast, right? And now, okay, I'll share this with you. However, we got to promote my why am I saying psychologist? My astrology podcast. So she's very business minded. She's very publicity minded, right? And that doesn't, in my opinion, discount what James did to her throughout that relationship, but it is something to keep in mind. Jazzy, we missed you. So sorry. It looks like you're going to be part of the playback posse today. That was our last story, boo. April says, God bless. Have a good day. Have a good gay male friend. I think that's why Allie didn't get hurt. Yeah, I love, and that's the thing, and it's so crazy. The way like the world could be just so homophobic for no reason. Like, I'm sorry to the straight men out there, but if there's a straight man, when people say, if this person's drowning, if there's a straight man drowning and there's a gay man drowning, I'm sorry, my straight man, I'm saving the gay man. They are so freaking amazing and so kind. And, I've been so lucky to have so many of them as friends here in Paris. And I just love them so much. And you know what? You're right. Thank God she had him. And I know she's got another gay male friend, and he's a content creator as well, Zachary Reality. So shout out to him too. Shem says they need stronger punishment for DUI, DWI. I agree. I don't know if it'll work though. If the people want to drink, they will. And it's crazy, Shem, with Uber. Before you can complain, taxis are so, but there's Uber, there's this, and you don't even have to get an Uber for yourself, right? Let's say an Uber for yourself to go home costs you $20, right? And you don't have it. Whatever, fair enough. There's Uber Pool, where you can split it with people on the way to you. And then at the end of the day, you're only going to pay like maybe $5 or something like that. So come on now. Come on. Does Uber Pool still exist for you guys, by the way? I've only ever really been able to use it in the US. And I haven't been to the US in like 10 years, I think, or like 8 years. Because, surprisingly enough, you don't really see Uber Pool in Paris, actually. I've never seen it as an option here, I don't think. So Lisa says, did you see Britt did an interview confirming her son's autism? I had no idea. I know that it was suspected, but I had no idea it was confirmed. And if that's the case, I'm happy for them that it was detected early, and I'm proud of her, especially that she's been advocating to find out what's going on with their son so that they can do intervention as early as possible. You know what that just reminded me of, Jaleesa? Love on the Spectrum just dropped, and I am obsessed with that show, and I need to go ahead and binge that too. I went out to pizza yesterday. There's this wonderful pizzeria next to me, and I could have sworn that I saw some people. I was next to a table where they were on a date, and they reminded me a bit of the people from Love on the Spectrum, Connor specifically. And one of those girls, not Danny, but there's a girl with curly hair, and I think she was bisexual or something like that. And the date was just so pure. And the guy, he's eating a pizza, and y'all know how people eat pizza here with like a fork and knife. He's eating the middle of the pizza. So he's just like cutting in a circle, and he's eating the thing, and he leaves the crust, and no part of that crust was broken. I was like, wow, this is so interesting. Wow. That was so cool. Jazzy says, yes, Grace, Allie didn't seem into him like he did. Exactly. They met at one of his events. She was a fan. And remember, her friend had her go up to him. I don't think she was really feeling him like that, right? The friend was like, oh, like this could be kind of cool. Like, why don't we go talk to him or something like that? And that's how it all went down. Jazz says, either way, I'm glad Allie woke up. Yup. And I agree. Got out of that situation. And Jaleesa's saving the gays too. Listen, who is more harmful towards women, gays or straight men? Come on now. Save them. Elsie says the only make friends I have are gay male friends. Yep, same here. You try to be friends with a straight man, and then he's going to be crushing on you more often than not. Or, even if the guy's not crushing on you, he's going to try and see if he can sleep with you. Because here's the thing with a lot of men. They don't even care if they're into you emotionally or whatever. They just want to sleep with someone, something, And that's the way I like it. And that's the way I like it. Gotta work. Exactly. I am the exact same way. Now, you guys, listen, we've come to the end of today's morning report per usual. Thank y'all so much for tuning in and chatting with me. I had the greatest time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about more of the day's hottest stories. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you in tomorrow's episode. And don't forget, if you enjoyed today's episode, please don't hesitate to leave a thumbs up so that YouTube knows that y'all enjoy it. Okay? Take care, guys. Have a good day. Bye.